Excellency Ambassador Muhammad Sahid Amin Khan. And of course, thank you to the International Human Rights Commission for hosting this World Summit. My greetings to all the distinguished panelists. And of course, I think this World Summit this year gathers around a message of solidarity and hope. And this title of Together We Have the Power to Build a More Prosperous World for Humanity. And as a strong advocate for multilateralism, I could not agree more, Ambassador, with that statement. For it is now perhaps more than ever that we need to revamp collective action on the basis of global solidarity to recover from the multidimensional crises that the COVID-19 pandemic has unleashed. As we have heard from other speakers, we are living a time of multidimensional crises. Today's societies, countries, regions, and are increasingly interdependent and interconnected. And this has brought extraordinary flux of information, of technology, of goods, and unprecedented material wealth. But at the same time, the paradox is that we are living this multidimensional crisis consisting in armed conflicts, violations of human rights, forced displacement, disasters, poverty and inequality, epidemics, and economic downturns. And these structural challenges go beyond borders, and we know that. And that puts, and this is really putting the prospects of peace, of stability, of upholding human rights into questions. And I think that the current health, humanitarian, and socioeconomic crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, and we know the numbers are terrifying, 110 million people infected worldwide, and a death toll of 2.46 million people, together with a global economic contraction of minus 3.5% of total GDP loss in 2020 only. And this, of course, is going to decrease access to jobs. 114 million people lost their jobs only last year. And I think this is the clearest example of the scope and magnitude of the global risks that we are facing as we speak. I would like to focus my remarks on a crucial aspect of the post-COVID recovery efforts and the Building Back Better our world. And this is the need to advance in the provision of global public goods, such as universal health coverage. The COVID pandemic, I think, has made it crystal clear that markets cannot replace the role of the state in guaranteeing universal basic access to public services. And I think this has been, one of the big and important teachings of what we are living today. One of the key lessons from the pandemic is the need of robust, well-funded public health systems and universal health coverage. In this context, the notion of the public, of the commons, has taken a new meaning and centrality in policy choices and investment. Even in the most liberal democracies, the COVID-19 crisis has also shown the need of a greater solidarity and greater social discipline towards protocols, restriction, and community responses. So here we have much to learn, for example, from indigenous peoples and African and Asian countries where communal values are stronger than in Western societies. In Africa, for example, and there are many representatives here, at the outbreak of the COVID-19, the African Union deployed a joint response based on solidarity. They created a common fund to raise resources to support a pool procurement of diagnostics and other medical commodities to mitigate the impacts of the crisis. Another example, the 15 East Asian and Pacific member countries of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership have managed to control the pandemic using measures such as lockdowns, mobility restrictions, physical distancing, testing, and quarantine, but in cooperation, in exchanging good practices, in strengthening cooperation, concerted action. And unfortunately, despite these examples, international cooperation and communal discipline, we have also, unfortunately, witnessed a more general tendency towards the adoption of unilateral and nationalistic responses to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. And here we have what I call the vaccine disasters, because as former president of Ecuador was mentioning, 75% of COVID-19 vaccines have been administered in only 10 countries, while other 130 countries have not yet received a single dose. So here we have a strong show of inequality, of the need for greater sharing and cooperation as well. So just to close, I think that we have learned in the past months the importance of universal health coverage as fundamental for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And we have also learned that we need to consider that public is back. Public services such as health and education should be at the forefront of the measures against the crisis. And finally, I think that we have also learned that we need to build back better tooling of the United Nations. The process of reform of the UN organs that the UN Secretary General is leading as we speak should count with the support of all international stakeholders in order to provide the world with a revamped multilateral architecture that delivers global commons, leaving no one behind. I think that the COVID-19 related crises are in essence a human rights crisis, as we have heard this morning. And these multiple crises affect our democracies and the delivery of the Sustainable Development Goals. We know what to do to contain the pandemic. We even know how to do it. The question is who is going to do it? And we are part of the who. Any response or alternative has to come from the whole of society, from us, from women. And of course, each one of us has a different role to play. But leadership is critical at this juncture, especially at the global level. And I would close by thanking again the conveners of this summit. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Moderator.